And so on a lower level, I find this interesting. And you don't really encounter this to the same degree in men. And so I wonder kind of why. Maybe, Andrew, you have some thoughts. Maybe, Eric, you do too.
Absolutely. Andrew, you want to take it?
All right, go ahead, man.
I mean, that's a lot of reasons, but I think, the media has a lot to do with it. Over the last 30, 20 years, I think I think women are always attracted to a guy with the edge. I think that's always been innate in women. They always look for the man that shows some type of dominance. But I think through the media, through music, through films, they have definitely propelled the image of the criminal and made him look like the epitome of manhood to a lot of women, especially if you grow up in the inner city. So a lot of times women can't, they accept that irrationality as bravado, when it's really just the dude is a little slow. He don't know how to express himself through his thoughts and his mind, so he got to express it with violence. And when they meet a guy that's more articulate or know how to diffuse the situation more amicably, they might attribute him as being soft. Like I said earlier, like the type of men that women date often dictate how they view you as a man or lack thereof. So I just think the media and just the mainstream culture has kind of clouded the mind of not just women being attracted to men, being attracted to those type of men, but young men wanting to be those kind of men as well. So I think it comes a lot comes from that.
Yeah, I do have a bit of a different take. I think that women like violence just as much as men do. I think they enjoy violence. I think that even when it comes to what they report, when it comes to sexual intercourse, they like it when men are rough with them. They like to be dominated. They like those forms. And so I think that women enjoy violence. I think that they enjoy the power dynamic of violence. I think that because of that, there's an attraction. Rollo Tomassi talks about this. He calls it the dark triad traits. Whether or not that's true or not true, what is true is that men and women both really like violence. We're really drawn to violence. We enjoy watching it. We watch action movies. We like suspense that has violence in it. If there's violence in society, we're enjoying it, and that's part of human nature. And so I think that women who enjoy powerful men and often enjoy being dominated by powerful men are attracted to those traits.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right, Andrew. I believe women are darker than they let on, and they're darker than society tells us. And like, you don't know until you know. Like, women are definitely into a lot of dark. Most women I meet ask me to like be physical with them in certain ways when we intimate. Like, they'll take my hand and put on their neck.
Well, what are the popular movies, bro? Like 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Yeah.
Various things like this. If you look at The Handmaid's Tale, women report that they even have arousal watching The Handmaid's Tale, where the woman is forced into a subservient role as a pregnancy factory. So the thing is like, no, I don't really believe this kind of idea of the princess woman who is just a nice, angelic being until a man comes along and corrupts her with his evil, violent, lunatic tendencies. No, I think the opposite. I think that women are just as prone to enjoy violence as men are. And in some ways, they enjoy it in a different way. Instead of being violent, in some ways, they enjoy domination that men do not enjoy from other men. So that's there's like a bunch of complexity here when it comes to the intersexual dynamics and violence.
Remember that poll you pulled up a couple weeks ago? Valid confirmed all of that. I don't know if y'all seen it, but we looked up.
Well, just look at the sexual fantasies that they have. They have sexual fantasies of being dominated, sexual fantasies of,
I think that goes both ways.
Being SA'd. It's like it's insane. Like, men don't have sexual fantasies of being SA'd. They just don't have them ever. But definitely that's high on the scale for a reported sexual fantasy for women. So I do think that they are attracted to this, and I think that it has to do with power. In many ways, it actually makes sense. A man who's extremely dangerous is probably a man who can really protect you very well. So you could be very good at verbal jousting, verbal combat, something like this, and maybe defuse situations like you're talking about. And perhaps there's some women who find that attractive, but also let's just assume for a second that you can remove all of that. So you go, okay, yeah, this guy's really good at talking, but he can't talk when I break his fucking jaw, right? So the thing is like, ultimately, it does come down to the idea violence, and I do think that there's an attraction level there for women.
Absolutely. What you was about to say? You was about to say something?
Oh, yeah. I said, I think it goes both ways. Like you guys stated earlier that violence is a thing amongst humanity. Both men and women like to watch it. Guys like watching UFC fights and things like that. And I think women, if we want to say like it in men from our ways, is from like leadership and like aggression and like stance.
Yeah,
I submit as like a feminine piece.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I don't know, teach his own, but I think that people are drawn to competitive fervor. I think the love of violence is more societal induced than a natural thing. I don't think people just wake up and born to be drawn to violence. I think people are drawn to who's going to win this competition, who's going to win this argument, who's going to win. I think we're attracted to the spectacle of conflict. I don't think that being in love with violence is a natural inclination that we develop. I think the society that we live in, especially in America, has desensitized us to violence and increased our love for violence. I don't think that's a natural thing, in my opinion.
Well, I think the historic standard would disagree with you. I mean, violence has always been a way of life for humanity, and it's been a necessity. Men need to, and here's the truth. Nobody likes to hear this, but the truth is that men have to kill each other. They have to kill each other over resources. They have to kill each other over women. They have to kill each other over children, over defense. And sometimes it's not even clear exactly who's right and who's wrong. But ultimately, it is a part of the nature of living that we used to have to kill for everything. We used to have to kill for our food. We're actually remarkably displaced from violence and death. So, for instance, you go to a funeral, the body's all prepared for you. People used to have to prepare the dead bodies of their kin themselves. You go to the grocery store and the meat is all packaged for you. You don't have to get into the violence of ripping an animal to pieces, quartering it, salting it so that you can have it later. In fact, I would say it's part of this desensitization to or people used to be far more desensitized to violence than they are now. Now you say, well, the media kind of, they show you the John Wick movie and things like this, but I mean, that used to be actually a way of life for people that, the chances that you got through life without hurting somebody else actually weren't very good.
I hear you, but that's two different things. I think what you're talking about is a survival mechanism where you might have to kill to eat. That's one thing. Being attracted to witnessing the spectacle of violence is not the same thing. You don't need to do that. I don't need to watch people kill each other and beat each other up to survive. Now I might have to beat, hold on.
I get what you, go ahead.
I might have to beat somebody up to defend my family. I might have to kill an animal to feed my family. But the love of just watching violence for the sake of violence, I don't think that's natural. And I think those are two separate topics. I think the only thing in common is the act of violence, but watching violence and seeking it out to watch it for recreation and using violence to protect my life and livelihood are two different concepts.
I think I have to give you a strong disagree. So I used to think something similar to this until I started to dive into the philosophy behind violence and the ideas behind it. And ultimately, the truth is that people don't have to get up in a tree stand anymore and shoot deer. They don't have to do that for anywhere in North America. They do it because they really like to kill, right? We do like the process of the kill. We like the process of the hunt. We like the process of taking down the game. We like the process of standing over it with our foot on it and then holding the head up and giving that predator roar, right? Men love that shit. And
some men like that. Every man don't like that.
You may think that they don't, but they love getting in the boxing ring. They love jacking each other's jaw. Men will beat the holy shit out of each other and then help each other up and show them, the guy that they beat up, how to do it better next time. They'll get into an arena with each other, give each other concussions, and shake each other's hands afterwards and thank the other guy for the pleasure of getting their own face kicked in. No, man, I staunchly disagree. I think that men enjoy the process of violence, that it's in many ways ingrained in us because it's necessary for the existence and survival of humanity. We've simply forgotten that, and so instead we kind of say, we demonize it in a way. We demonize rough play, rowdiness, men attacking each other, things like this. When it used to be very commonplace. I mean, it used to be commonplace when my dad was a kid in school that kids would kick the holy shit out of each other, and the teachers would just come by and be like, all right, now that's enough of that. There wasn't suspensions and jail time and this and that. It was baked into the pie that men needed to sometimes take care of that, right? That's part of who we are and what we do. Now, do I think you should be enslaved to those passions? No. But do I understand why there's an enjoyment level to the hunt, an enjoyment level to the kill, why that would be necessary for humans to have that? Yeah. And so I understand why men and their propensity for violence is somewhat ingrained inside of us.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Somebody want to say something?
Oh, if you got something to say.
No, go ahead.
I would say like modern time give on like letting out aggression. Yeah, but I think like now compared to the hunt, it would be like sports. It'd be like we have like football. You guys tackle each other all day. Basketball, wrestling, which is a safer version of it. That's more moderated. But I mean, kicking and like drawing blood from someone's quite crazy.
Yeah,
But see, that's the thing. The less moderated it is, though, the more people love it. So, like, yeah, the UFC fight,
true.
the cage fight, yeah, that's great. But if you go to, people pay big bucks to go overseas to watch bare knuckle fighting where they don't have those rules, right? Where the violent overtone is even worse. People love violence. And the thing is there's an ingratiation in men to enjoy the process of violence. It's actually ingrained in us for the purpose of survival. And I think that if you're in, if you ever end up in like a World War I situation where you're in the trenches or something like this, you find out real quick your capacity for absolute savagery is way, way worse than you could ever have conceived of. And that's why a lot of those guys don't ever like talking about that. These are kind of war heroes, things like this. It's not just the fact that they have to live with killing lots of people. It's the fact that they have to live with the internal understanding that they were capable of things that they could never have imagined they were capable of.